part of WACC Caribbean and WACC Global mandate is that of climate change and communication rights. The primary activity under this project is the documentation of the best agro-ecological practices in the respective participating countries. And in St. Lucia, the Monsignor Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, the FRC, has collaborated with the St. Lucia Divers Association, Anbaglo Inc., to document its achievements and lessons learned and to share the stories of sustainable natural resources usage in St. Lucia, specifically the efforts at addressing climate change.
Anbaglo, the St. Lucia Divers Association. We are the group of persons on island that looked after the interests of diving. We look after the hotels, the dive operators, and the professional scuba divers on island. In the future, what we'd like to do is to get everyone to understand, appreciate, and respect more the marine environment.
Non, moi c'est Marilyn Hyacinth, je vais représenter Place Richesse Folklore à une organisation nous avons WACC. Là nous regardons au Lion, la terre a venu plus chaud, le soleil a venu plus chaud, l'eau la mer plus chaud, terre plus chaud, poisson ka mort, terre pas ka produit comme était ka produit comme avant. Et puis ça c'est à la cause des vieilles habitudes nous côté nous ka jeter zordi à la mer, à la rivière et puis tout partout en canal. Nous ne pour nous ça changer l'habitude ça là, puis ça affecte la vie nous, il affecte la santé nous. À nous changer l'habitude nous et puis à nous protéger la mer, à nous protéger la rivière, à nous protéger terre, puis c'est important pour nous. Et puis nous kay sa ville en plimer la vie comme Saint-Lucien.
The marine ecosystem is extremely important in my opinion to human life and the protection of the planet in general. On a whole, the ocean is the lungs of the planet. Over 50% of the oxygen that we require as humans, as organisms to breathe, it comes from phytoplankton and other organisms that reside within the ocean. The ocean also absorbs vast amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, helping to manage and try to keep consistent temperature and other environmental parameters.
The SMMA is not a government organization. We are NGO, so the money we collect from the users, we do the patrols, we do enforcement, night patrol, maybe some of it to be done a little bit of scientific monitoring in terms of water quality, sedimentation, or reef check.
The marine ecosystem also beyond these large overreaching uses also provides us with food security in the form of fish, invertebrates that we eat, sea moss and other marine algae that we consume. It also provides us with some form of coastal protection from storms in terms of coral reefs and other large structures within the water that limit the action of large waves on the shore and the coastline. The marine ecosystem also provides us with recreational opportunities such as scuba diving, free diving, snorkeling, boat trips, water sports, just hanging out at the beach. There's a lot to be gained for humans and for the planet from the ocean.
A lot of the time, St. Lucians don't think about marine as significant, but for us it definitely is, and definitely part of the project. So everything to do with sea turtles, to do with the reef, to do with fish species is a significant part of this project and a significant concern to all.
The Divers Association was established initially by a bunch of expats who came to St. Lucia to work for various dive operators on island. They thought that by coming together, they could put a unity in the purpose to do positive things for the environment. One of their main achievements in the very beginning was the assistance with the formation of the SMMA. That went down as what I would think as their premier event. Over the years, we have participated mainly in lionfish derbies. We have participated in artificial reef stroke wreck dive sites. The association has done so far about 6 or 7 of these sites. Yeah, starting with the what we call the Japanese barge, the Dania Karu Maru, and then after that we put down the SK2, the Vicky B, and then we put 4 more down in Rodney Bay as a part of our recent North project.
The association also participated in policy-making decisions that would affect diving, given diving being a specialized area and one that was not widely explored at the time in St. Lucia. Another area the association looked at was conservation of the marine environment, protecting livelihoods, also looked at having harmonious relationships between other sectors that utilize the marine environment for their livelihoods as well.
It has to be a team working with the communities, right? Because we know our resources aren't indefinite. We're struggling. We're seeing the damage that happens when we have a storm. Every time it rains, we see the color of the ocean and all of that settles on the reef. We know that there are a lot of persons that depend on tourism. And what happens when you have a dead reef? It affects tourism in a major way. So we need the community to understand. So the fishers need to understand, for example, when there are restrictions, when there are limits put on the size of the catch, when there are limits put on the size of the lobster that you can haul in, when we have legislation that they're there for a reason, when fishers are asked to come in, especially for licensing and for the size of the nets that they can use. All of those things are put in place, and together the community and the governmental organizations and the NGOs and the community-based organizations need to be able to work together to ensure that we see some kind of sustainability to those resources that we have. The
challenge is we might maybe have a little bit of overfishing in that area, or probably improper use while people snorkeling. They might be touching the corals, and sometimes we might have to close these areas and use another area. Because when you're using an area over and over, for example, the guys keep on fishing there, fish stocks is going down.
What we've actually noticed is that there's been a tremendous drop in the amount of fish that we normally catch, and also the severity of storms that impact our livelihood. Fishes like mackerel, jacks, tuna, and mahi. And over the years, what you find is that the frequency of catching fish like mackerel and jacks has actually decreased tremendously. For things like the mahi, we don't even really see big mahis anymore. And one of the fish that was actually very important to fishermen like my dad was actually flying fish. Right now, you barely even see flying fish in our waters compared to before.
We have the land, we have the sea, we have the people. That is what we have. We have the biodiversity that we're blessed with. But if we do not take care of those things, if we just ignore all of the warnings, all of the data that has come, all of the beautiful reef that we have. Look, we're on the southeast coast, Dennery, Miku, Vieux-Fort, Labrie. You know, there are so many things that we have going down there. We have mangrove. We have, for example, in Pasepa, the Point Sab Environmental Protection Area, where you have the largest mangrove in the Eastern Caribbean. And mangrove is there for a particular reason. And mangrove has served us very, very well, both for protecting our people, our species, and at the same time being home for fish.
When we started the projects in the north that we did some education, we started we're presently doing what was called a bio-rock coral restoration project, and the North project, which is the development of artificial reefs and the coral restoration. We went to a number of schools. We went to Hess, we went to Rosalie Primary, we went to a number of schools, at least 6 schools in and around the area, to talk to the youngsters about coral restoration and the environment, and not throwing plastics in the ocean and various things that go with conservation. We have had 1 or 2 PSAs, public service announcements, and we are planning to do a couple more for the environment. But our main thrust has been the youngsters that we have been training. We have trained over 12, 14 youngsters as divers, and their main thing is that they're coral gardeners basically. But by virtue of this, we have passed on valuable information to them that we are hoping they pass on to their friends and their family about not damaging the environment anymore and about caring for the environment more.
The coral garden is actually to repopulate the reef that has been destroyed over the years because of sedimentation, natural disasters, because of man-made pollution, and also damage by boats and fishermen and stuff like this. Especially also by natural disasters, especially with the elkhorns and stargorns that we are growing. These 2 types of coral were destroyed in the 70s by the black band coral disease, and only maybe about 10% of it survived throughout the Caribbean. So we're trying to repopulate them in a nursery setting and then put them out in the actual ocean where they can grow and repopulate and then start to populate themselves so that we could have a lot more of those growing that will protect our reef as well as create habitats for our young fish so that they can grow and become, then our reefs will be repopulated not only with coral but also with reef fishes as well.
And so the Folk Research Center, as a member of WACC Caribbean, together with another organization from Jamaica, they have decided to undertake this project to look at agro-ecological sustainable development in the region.
What I found is that in the past there was a lot of knowledge that was passed on to the older guys, but the impression is the younger fishers are not so attuned with that aspect of their trade. Yeah, so they don't have as much respect, the younger ones, and I think the time is right for us to start to look at targeted programs so we can educate them more about it and get them to participate. The ideal thing would be to get a couple of the fishermen to participate in what we're doing so they can better understand the efforts that we are putting in and what the results can be or will be.
Yes, we will save our